Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the second ever episode of the Formula One. But before we get into that, just want to do a little roundup that I've done on every video this week. Basically, on Monday, I did a little review of the Bournemouth game, but basically, it was a big thank you video with all the support you guys have done over the past 2-3 weeks. One to the name change. It's got a bit longer than what it was before, but we wanted to be on a different brand. Not only that, all the graphics that we're trying to produce for everyone as well. We're also doing different content now as well, and the views and the listens have gone through much bigger than I anticipated or even thought of. I thought we would do well, but you guys have helped out so much during that, and that's all thanks to the people that have come on board to help me. We had the previous people that are always going to be here, like Courtney and Ryan and Adam, that do all the Reading content, but we've now got new people on board with the podcast that we are now going to take us to the new level, and we're building around them for whatever happens in the future. So with Josh now coming on board, who's with us today, and we'll be doing the F1 content for you guys and bringing you all the latest and all the knowledge that he has. And trust me, there's a lot of knowledge that he has come on board, and especially with the F1 as well. That was the second most watched video this last week, and not only that, it was one of the fastest growing videos that we had on the podcast that we've really had in a very long time. I think the last one was when I did the podcast with Hopkins Likes to Curl one, which is the most viewed video I've ever done on here. But that was growing at that type of rate, which is very good to see, and which means that you guys really want more F1 content, and that's what we're going to bring you. We will be doing more and newer stuff in the future. We might do a watch along with us on live stream, where you come and sit with us, watch it as well, and you can hear our thoughts while we watch it. We might do something special. We don't know. We play games and do all of that during the off time of when they prepare for the new season. But
yeah,
we're gonna have a bit of fun.
We'll get there when we get there.
Exactly. So let's get into it. I haven't even done my normal spiel. So getting into the normal spiel, don't forget, down below in the description is all of our links to our social media pages. Go and give us a follow and a like. Don't forget to subscribe up in the top corner there to go, and actually in the bottom right, there should be a logo, our logo in the bottom right of your screen. If you click on that, it would easily subscribe straight to our page. And not only that, you can click on the bell, and that will notify you as soon as one of our videos go live. Today or yesterday for you guys, we did a wrestling content, which was a review of Survivor Series, which we very much enjoyed. And we did a predictor game where we reviewed who won. Let's say I fucking didn't. And then Monday we did, as I said. But tomorrow, when you guys watch this on Wednesday, tomorrow it's the NFL show. You've got 4 people: me, Dan, Rob, and Fred. We all did our predictions. 2 of us got 1 right out of 3. And all of our teams that we support, I now support Miami Dolphins. I've decided that's who my team are going to be from now on. Lost. Dan's team, Tampa Bay, last night lost. Atlanta Falcons lost. Rob supports and the New England Patriots. So Fred's team lost. So expect a lot of
successful week then.
Exactly. Start successful the podcast, week. All teams lose. So yeah, expect a lot of rants at the start of the show before we get into all the other things as well. But yeah, we're going to be doing that and have a bit of fun with that. So on Friday will be a build up to the Bristol City game, which I'm unable to watch due to family issues that we're trying to resolve. But I will be keeping my eye on it and see how we do. But I'm hoping we can do something. But anyway, that's enough about football. Let's talk about Formula One. So I asked you, because I struggle with certain things and stuff. Let's go through some of the history of this track. Before we get into the track, what I want to ask you is who was the first winner This is not a quiz, by the way. Before
Yeah.
you guys think this, we
Yeah.
have a Google Doc that has
We've
written
got
everything
Google
down.
Doc. Yeah,
So we know what we're going to say. So
Yeah.
just let's go through the history a bit. Who won the first race and when
So
was it?
the first race was in 2004, won by Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari in his last title-winning season, which
Okay.
is the 2004 season. I
Yeah.
believe the track was started being developed in 2002, ready for Formula One in 2004,
Mhm.
and has been on the calendar ever since, and has varied in timing in the calendar.
Yeah, it's either near the end or at the beginning, if I
Yeah, well, it's
remember.
normally at the beginning, but obviously due to
COVID.
pandemic
Yeah.
and COVID, it's been moved to the end of the year, which, I mean, it's all right. We get two versions of it this year, but we're going through the normal version, the first version this week,
hmm
the actual track layout that's been used for since 2011, because they had a different one for 2010, which was an endurance layout. The 2010 race, which was, I think it was, you kind of cut out the middle bit, but it's like a longer outer bit almost.
Okay.
So yeah, but now the current track layout we've been using since I think 2011 and has been held in the night, from 2014.
So it always looks good at night. I don't know
It looks
whether.
better at night, I think.
Yeah. It always okay then. So who's got the most wins?
Sebastian Vettel has 4 wins, all taken whilst he was at Red Bull, I believe.
hmm
Followed by, from current drivers, Hamilton's on 3, and I think Schumacher is also on 3 from memory.
Oh, okay.
So
So
Seb runs is supreme of Bahrain as it stands from the current grid.
do you think he'll be able to do it in this Ferrari at this track?
To put it bluntly, no.
Is it because the Mercedes have too much of a powerful car in the straights?
I think it's because the Ferraris just, last year when Charles Leclerc was first, if some of you remember back to last year, Charles Leclerc was first off until his car started to break down,
hmm
and he should have won that. It should have been his first win. But then in that race, Sebastian Vettel spun, being the more experienced teammate, and from that point, I think he's slowly, or from Germany the year before that, but from that point as well, he's slowly been seen as Ferrari's number 2. Because
Okay.
Charles Leclerc should have won in 2019, and he didn't because of something out of his hands. And then meanwhile, Sebastian was spinning, being the more experienced, meant to be number 1 driver.
So we talk about the first night race that was in 2014, which was pretty memorable, if we're
Yeah.
right. It explains to the people who watch this probably already know, but I want to get your take on it.
So 2014, the first night race is now called, especially by Sky, called the Duel in the Desert, which was a bit of what I call as a ding-dong battle between Rosberg and Hamilton, going back and forth, lap on lap. So that was 2014, the first night race, and kicked it off with a bit of a bang. But if you remember back to that year as well, we also had Pastor Maldonado flipping Esteban Gutierrez in his Sauber.
Yeah.
Or Maldonado's in the Lotus at that point. It's like third race in the Lotus, and he flipped Gutierrez coming out of the pits, which is also quite an infamous moment for those who like F1.
So, okay, so I saw this thing on Twitter, and I want to ask you this question: would Rosberg do a better job than what Bottas is doing at the moment, if Rosberg was still around?
I think on raw ability, yes, but I don't think he would have done, because I don't think he had the passion or he wasn't mentally prepared to battle on with Lewis again for another season. I think he kind of went, this is my moment, I've won, I'm going to finish whilst I'm on top, because it's never going to happen again.
Yeah. But do you think he would do a better challenge? Because I think I saw a lot of people say that Rosberg could do a better challenge than Bottas, but then a lot of people were saying Bottas is a better driver, but he
I
got
think
he's been
Bottas
he
is a
got
safer.
unlucky.
I think Bottas is a more. I know how we went in a bit on him last year, but I think he's more of a consistent driver when he's got the car beneath him and he feels confident in the car. I think that's when he can challenge Lewis. Or I think Rosberg could take it to Lewis in whatever conditions or situation it was, up until the point where in that 2015 season where Lewis won it in America, Lewis just had him mentally beaten from Australia.
Yeah. So for me, I always look at Rosberg as a driver that I think if he got the opportunity to do it again, I think he could have done. But I think he was. I think just like I always think people always talk about Formula One as a physical G-force cornering,
Yeah,
a physical aspect. But if you look at it as well, it's very much a mental
mental game,
because
mental
isn't it?
stuff.
Because I think it really proved. I think last week, not last week, the week when the Turkey
Turkey week
Grand
before,
Prix
yeah,
with Stroll, how
yeah,
everything was going to plan. He was doing really well. An issue comes up, and his head goes, and he then just starts dropping.
yeah.
Um,
Obviously, it came out afterwards that he had damage,
yeah,
but I think he was also mentally spent as soon as he started going backwards and it didn't, and it went away from him. He was also mentally spent. He had nothing more. He just kind of, and he's kind of young, so you understand it that you're going to lose your head a bit
mhm. But
because
then
he's
the
looking
people will always say he's not deserving of that seat.
at that seat because of his dad. Yeah.
So let's go back and talk about the track. I want you. We've got a picture on our screen here. You guys can't see it, but on our screen. But I want you to talk through the track of what you think is going to be, where you think is going to be the most exciting parts of the race, and where you think Jules are going to win and when they're going to get lost.
So as always, I do quite like. I don't know. I quite like turn one because you can get a good run on. If you look back to Hamilton, overtook 3 people on that straight a couple of years ago when he was struggling. He was struggling in that race and then came back and overtook 3 people on that main straight, and you can dive it down the inside of turn one,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to be ready to fight back at turn two and turn three to go again up to turn four, and then to sector one. Whereas I think sector two could be a bit more tedious because obviously of how hard it is to follow in these cars. The start of sector two, turn 5, 6, 7. If you can stay with someone in that quick little left right type, so was it left right and then left again, and then down towards the DRS zone. If you can follow someone then into turn 11, which we've discussed before,
Yeah.
you can have a nice side by side into 11 and 12 down, then into 13 and then down the back straight. So if you can keep, it's a track where you need to be able to keep your momentum.
So where do you think it's going for drivers? They always find the best pace to overtake. For you, if you were a driver, where would you really see the key points of overtaking? Would you say it's the start line straight?
Yeah,
Would you say?
turn one, I'd say, because you can go down the inside and try to force your opponent out wide and try to force them to not be able to come back at you, and turn 11 off the second DRS straight, no, third DRS straight, or however you look at it, because the first, how it works is because the main back straight is sector 3 of DRS because of where it starts is in sector 3. But that one in the middle sector, I think, will be a good one to turn 11 with. If a driver's confident, then you'll see him go for a move down the inside of that and try and make it stick. Whereas if you see it the other way, where they kind of half-heartedly go for a move, you can see a bit of an accident maybe, like them putting their nose in and then the driver turns in on the outside, takes his front wing off.
So I want to ask you a question. Is we all know Mercedes are going to be very strong, and maybe Red Bull as well. That's going to be very strong in this race because of the straights. Who do you think is going to challenge as well? Do you think Racing Point will be there?
Racing Point, I think, will be in and around with their Mercedes engine and being fairly similar to last year's Mercedes, which came 1-2. So I
So,
think
what do you
Racing
think
Point will be up
about
there.
McLaren, Renault, Ferrari? Do you think they're going to do any? Do you think
I
they're going to
think it's
challenge?
going to be one of those that McLaren might struggle a bit. I'm not overly sure because it's like a little bit like Sochi, where there's the long straights, but you've also got quick turns and kinks and stuff where you did see the McLaren struggle. But you could also say that in Austria they were really strong where it's at. So I think McLaren, you'll see a suit after FP1 and FP2. After practice, you'll see whether they'll be up there or if they'll be a bit further back.
So, there's Williams. Let's talk about Williams for a second. George Russell. How would you class or what would you say about George Russell this season? Because I can see here while you're talking, I'm looking for things that people are talking about, and he said it's been mentally draining. Um, it's been a roller coaster, and also admits his Williams drive was unsettling. Um, how would you class as Russell this season? Do you think he's done good for what he's got?
I think he's made the best out of a bad car for 2 seasons. There's a reason he's won every qualifying battle he's been in. He's not finished behind a teammate in qualifying, and that proves like you're something. Because
Hmm.
Kubica, I know everyone's like he's old and he's paid to be in that seat with his sponsorship money, but he's no slouch, and neither's Latifi really. Like I know Latifi's a rookie and he'll have moments where he seems slow and off the pace, but that's because he's learning still.
Hmm.
Where Russell came in and has been constantly faster than his teammate, as throughout his fault or fault of someone else's, at points he's not got that point that he deserves.
Hmm.
And he's always been in and around it. Like you'll always see that Russell be running in the points P8 and who would have gone long. He always goes long, and you see him sitting in the points. You're like, oh, maybe Russell's going to get points here, and then he slowly falls away, or he has an accident like Mugello. No, San Marino, or whatever else. Imola, that's the one.
Hmm.
So
So with all of the driver changes next season, do you see is George Russell confirmed to be at Williams next
yeah,
year?
he's confirmed to be at Williams next year.
How do you think they're going to do next year? Do you think it's going to be another struggle for them? And we will, when the
Uh,
season's over, what I'm planning on doing is certain things is go through each team next season with a podcast each week, specifically talking about that team,
yeah.
building up to the new season. So we'll go through them, but let's have what we're thinking now compared to the end could be completely different. So what are you thinking now? Do you think they'll be able to do anything next year, or do you think it's still going to be a struggle?
I think they'll be able to do slightly. I think they're building and building at this point, but I think they would have put a lot of resources into the change in regulations for 2022. I think they'll look at that and go, that's where we need to be like, okay, we're back now and we'll step up our game. That's what
So,
I think they need.
according to the weather, for the race this weekend, it's going to be sunny, all week. Who do you think does that prefer? We all know Mercedes sort of struggle in the wet, and it's obviously going to
Yeah.
benefit them. But what other teams would you say benefits from the dry weather?
I think most of them do, to be honest. I think everyone kind of expected it's probably going to be dry because it's Bahrain,
Yeah.
obviously. I think once again, Racing Point will do quite well, even though I know they did well in the wet last week and that car does suit well to the wet. I think that they'll do well because obviously how similar they are to the Mercedes. Red Bull always seem to just be there or thereabouts on every track this season. So yeah, we'll see.
So going into the next three races, I think there's three races finishing, isn't there now?
Yeah,
Three
2
races.
Bahrain and Abu Dhabi.
So I just saw here that there's an interesting point. So Hamilton is after one last record this season. So at the moment, he's got 10 victories this year. And the record for most wins in a single season is 13, which is shared by Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel. Do you
Yeah.
think with the next two Bahrain races and by Abu Dhabi as well, do you think he will match that, or do you think one of those tracks will be the downfall for him?
I think if everything's plain sailing and plays out how it should from history and how the cards have been this season, Hamilton should win all three unless Bottas pulls his finger out and actually like tries like his utmost just to get one little bit of one thing over Lewis, which is stopping joining that equaling the record.
So I'm looking through here, and it's quite fascinating to read as well. So the reason why I asked that was because Michael Schumacher's 2004, when he got it, he's only second in regard of Alberto for the most wins. So Michael Schumacher won 6 out of 8. No. Alberto Ascari won 6 out of 8 races in the 1957 to register a 75% win ratio to it. And 13 wins in 17 races this year would give Hamilton a percentage of 76.47%. So not only would he beat match Schumacher and Vettel for most wins in an F1 single season, but he would also break the record for the biggest percentage of win. Do you think Hamilton? I think it's also been discussed as well that Hamilton might be getting a knighthood in the when the knighthood in the January New
I know
Year's special thing. Do you think he deserves that?
Yes, due to what he's done for motorsport, plus his persistence with looking for change and the Black Lives Matter thing, and how he's really trying to advance the sport to get more colours people into the sport. I think he's at that point where he deserves to be knighted. And he'll be Sir Lewis Hamilton, MBE, whatever it is.
So it's also, as well, I saw here that Mick Schumacher Jr. is also very close to signing for Haas for the 2021 season. How do you think he's going to get on?
I think he'll do well. I think he'll take time, but I think that because of what's rumoured of Haas is that if you watch F2 or know about F2, Nikita Mazepin, who's Russian, whose dad's fairly rich, is looking to buy shares into that Haas F1 team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking like it's going to be Mazepin, and then Ferrari are going to push for Schumacher to be in that seat because obviously he's a Ferrari young driver and they supply a lot of stuff for Haas. So I think we're going to be looking at two rookies in Mazepin and Schumacher in the Haas next year.
It's also being said as well that deals are expected to be formalities. So the likes of Sergio Perez and Nico Hulkenberg are waiting on Red Bull, what they will do with Max Albon, which means the market has slowed down. The super license points also factor the Haas pair and Alpha Tauri's plans to promote Yuki. Him. If any of them fail to secure a license in the next 2 weeks. So it could be interesting to see what happens at the end of the season with Alex Albon, because I think he's now driving. He's now driving for next year now, isn't he?
Yeah, at this point. So to go off what I was saying, as well with the F2 drivers, currently Mick Schumacher is top of the F2 standings. I'm not sure if he's already won it, but they've got 2 rounds left, which is this Bahrain and the following Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
With the only second closest to him is Callum Ilott, who is his teammate, who's another Ferrari driver, who was meant to be going to either Alfa Romeo or Haas before Alfa Romeo kept Giovinazzi and Raikkonen. And Tsunoda is currently third in F2, who's rumoured with the AlphaTauri seat. And
so isn't the one that's second British as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Ilott is British, yes.
So is he staying at F2 next season, or is he going to come up?
I think we'll see him in F2 or in Formula E next year, and then maybe into F1 the season after that. But if he's in F2 next season, I think he'll wipe the floor with F2.
Is he that good of a driver?
I think he'll be a different, especially if Schumacher comes up, Tsunoda comes up, then I think he'll just walk it.
Do you see a bright future for him, or do you think he's just gonna wipe the floor because the 2 best ones have gone?
A part of that, and a part of he's been in one of the best cars. I know F2 cars are fairly similar across the grid because obviously they have certain stock parts.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously he'll have a season under his belt where he'll probably think he could have done better and possibly gone on, and he'll probably want to have the grip between his teeth to win F2 to get that F1 seat to then prove himself in F1.
So it's going to be interesting, I think, over the summer,
or
the winter, wherever we call it, where everyone's going to end up. How do you think McLaren? Let's talk about Lando Norris for a sec. We always got to talk about the Brits on here. How do you think he's going to do?
I think he'll do all right as it stands. I think that next year, that McLaren will be similar again to how it is at the moment in terms of pace.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's going to slowly prove to people that he could be Britain's next world champion after Lewis. If McLaren don't pull their finger out, I can see someone like a Mercedes going for Norris after
Isn't George
Hamilton.
Russell in that program?
But I think you could see a world where Mercedes get rid of Bottas and Hamilton and then bring in Norris and Russell.
Okay, that could be cool.
As two young guns to try drive it on.
Right, let's get into it then. Qualifying. So on Saturday and Sunday, I have built graphics. I've had a bit of fun with this one. For everyone to for everyone to see. I built it, I've done it, and just finished off the final touches. And we're going to release it. So top 3. Who do you think your top 3 for qualifying is going to be?
I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton on pole. Sergio Perez going to finish second in qualifying in his racing point, and Max Verstappen will be third.
Ooh, no Bottas.
No Bottas. I think he will just. I don't think he'll be too far off the pace, but I think Turkey will play on his mind a bit. It'll be one of those things where Bottas will be Bottas 3.0 and then trounce everyone in qualifying and win the race, or he'll have that playing on his mind and he might drop off, even if it's by a couple of tenths, and then be fourth in qualifying or fifth in qualifying, and then look to build on it in the race.
Okay, then I'm going to go for Bottas on pole.
Oh, you're going for Bottas 3.0
Yeah, I'm going. Bottas is going to go on absolute mad one. I'm going to go Hamilton second, and I'm going to go Perez third.
I was tempted to put Stroll because he's okay sometimes.
Yeah, but the only thing that's playing on my mind is it's not wet.
Yeah, that's what
literally it.
He likes the wet, but
he's Canadian, isn't
he? Yeah.
He's driving in the snow, eh? What are you talking about? That's literally all my Canadian. That's it. I'm done now. A moose. Okay, then let's go race day. Let's talk about the race. Let's go into the race. Let's do your predictions, and then we'll talk about the race in the next episode. Top 3.
Top 3. So I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton to finish first and extend his lead of his already won Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Max Verstappen to finish second. And then I'm going to go for... You know what? Bold prediction. I'm going to go for Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, you're a knob.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah. I was thinking I'm going to shock him. I'm going to put Ricciardo third.
I think it's going to be one of those where Ricciardo's just on pace, as he's proven many times this year, and just been there or thereabouts, and something will happen and Ricciardo will make the podium because he's just consistent and smart and knows what he's doing.
Okay, then. So I'm going to go top 3. I'm not going Ricciardo now because you stole it. Bastard. So the top 3 I'm going to go for is Hamilton to win. I'm going to go Sergio Perez second. And I'm going to go Alex Albon third.
Oh, so Albon to finish third.
Sorry.
So, carry on. Ignore that. So, we're going to go for that, and that's what we're going to do. So, please go and follow both of us on Twitter over the weekend as well. I will probably be live tweeting what I see on the Sunday. And we will be posting as well what the graphics, what we think as well. So, yeah, it's been quite fun. Have you enjoyed it today?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah? How have you been anyway? You've been okay?
Yeah, I've been all right, mate.
Good. We all know that lockdown's hard for everyone. And it struggled. So if you guys ever need to talk to anyone, we're both here for you. So please go and DM us. Exactly. Go and DM us. We're happy to. Sorry, you go and talk. Sorry.
No, I was just saying I've gone through stuff before, so my DMs are always open if anyone needs to chat. Same with Robbo. So
Exactly. So at the moment, I'm going to be open and on it. Where the fuck have I put them? Here they are. So at the moment, I have to take these for my anxiety, because it got worse since second lockdown started happening. I got a lot worse just before that. So second lockdown happened and it got a lot worse. So I got myself some help. People around me have been helpful. So as well as if you ever need to talk, we're here for you. So yeah, that's another episode done. Oh, excuse me. Another episode done. This has been a very, very good one. I've really enjoyed this, and it's nice to get a bit of knowledge as well. And it's nice to listen to someone who has knowledge and like myself talk about it. So thank you ever so much, Josh, for coming on again.
that's all right.
We will see you next week for when Alex Albon comes third, Perez comes second, and Hamilton comes first. And I laugh, and I'm going to rinse you all over Twitter.
And then it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm going to be unbearable.
Yeah.
I did say that about the wrestling predictions, but I absolutely got fucked on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Brutal.
Utter brutal. Right. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.